Another day, another leftist fails the Darwin Awards. Lock in, boys and girls. Crazy ride today. Trigger warning, it's gonna get gory, but also just life advice in general. If you run at ICE officers with a car, with a shovel, or trying to draw a weapon, whether it's justified or not, they might yoink you from this plane of existence. Just friendly advice from me to you. We're gonna be looking at the situation that just went down that everybody's talking about. Unfortunately, my opinion is an unpopular opinion, which means it's definitely going to go over well in the, grand scheme of internet land. But fortunately, you're watching the only idiot on YouTube that literally doesn't care. PR is a lie, and I'm just here to make fun of idiots in the name of God. So we're going to go through everything. We're going to go through all the responses on the right, on the left. Lots of leftoids crashing out. Moist Critical made a video. Hasan Piker made a video. Destiny is talking about now trying to kill people of the Trump administration because that apparently makes sense. All in all, lock in. This is going to be the only opinion of mine. This is going to be the only take this way on this situation. Okay, so this is what happened. All right, so it all happened. Minneapolis, Minnesota, the eye of the storm. They, sowed the wind, and now they are reaping the whirlwind. So just one block away from where Renee Good was committed suicide by cop and where George Floyd committed suicide by fentanyl, we have another individual that committed suicide by ICE, and it's honestly heartbreaking. Now, I'm not saying this to make fun of the guy. It is heartbreaking that this man is dead. And it's honestly due to a lot of really bad decisions made by this retard. All right, anyway, so this is what went down.
Too much, man, and they keep pushing people,
Right, so they have this guy on the ground. You can't really see what goes down. Obviously, I'm going to censor it. I'll stop it now, but they end up shooting him in the back several times, and he's dead. Now, I'm going to tell you my opinion after we look at a few more camera angles. Obviously, I can't show you the blood and gore on YouTube for obvious reasons. But from multiple angles, you have to understand what's going on. All right, so you got the freaks with the whistles. Classic.
Go.
All right, obstructing justice, blocking roads, Classic. Right, they're going to call him a legal observer for blocking the road. By the way, this is a crime. It's illegal. You should go to jail, in my opinion.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
And as you can see, over here, ICE is trying to move them out of the road, which is, appropriate. They're trying to arrest a pedophile right now, by the way. You may not be aware of this. They are currently en route to arrest a pedophile, and they are being blocked by retards. All right, so they're moving them out of the road. They're pepper spraying them. All right, so this dude tackles this woman. Some people are saying he tried to save her. Some people are saying that he was pepper sprayed and blinded. So he ended up he thought it was an ICE agent. Regardless, they pulled him off of this woman, which also is appropriate.
Fuck people.
And as you can see, there's a whole kerfuffle. You can't really see what's going down, but they end up putting him on the ground. And a second later, there's gunshots and he's dead. And I can't show that on YouTube, obviously. So what actually happened here is the question. The question is, what happened here? So as you can see, this dude seemingly on the ground. What's going on over here? Here he is. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's really hard to tell. Some people are saying it looked like he was trying to reach for a weapon. The reality is, it's just really shitty, bro. Like every single angle, it just looks awful. It's a nightmare that people are dying, and it's an even bigger nightmare that leftists are telling people to keep fighting. New video footage emerged. Appears to show 3 things we didn't know. This is the footage I just showed you, I think. It appears the new footage that the man was shot, assaulted a woman. That's what I showed you before. We don't know exactly what happened, if he tried to save her, if he tried to hurt her. Irrelevant. It's very clear that the federal agency, something that makes him quickly pull out his weapon. It is clear that the man is still fighting and moving after we hear the first shot, which I can't show you on YouTube. So it's very unclear who fired the first shot. It seems like it was the officer at this point in time. I'm just trying to be completely honest and upfront. I am honest media over here. I'm doing my absolute best. AP reports that the officer said boo-hoo in response to angry protesters after a 51-year-old man was shot and killed by federal officers in Minneapolis. Not only did retard die trying to save a couple of pedophiles award, but also got hit with the Looney Tune ass death, hitting them with the boo-hoo after he was blown away. Now, to be clear, all right, I'm going to tell you what I think, and then we're going to get into everyone else's opinions and all the reactions and the crazy shit. What it seems like happened is there was a guy who was armed, who was obstructing justice, who was attacking a woman, who was resisting arrest, who was fighting and wrestling against police officers, who was factually armed. This is an uncontroversial opinion. Everyone agrees with this, as you're going to see. Seemingly, he was disarmed, and then he was shot by a different police officer. It is unclear whether the other police officer knew he was disarmed or not. It is unclear. I'm waiting for more evidence to come out, maybe body cams or something, if they have body cams. So I understand these people are sitting there with a split-second reaction time between life and death in a violent mob. That is just a complete fact. However, it seems like it was not a justifiable act of self-defense, as opposed to the Renee Good instance, where that lady was literally running over a cop with a car. So it does not seem like this is appropriate. That said, it was absolutely not premeditated murder or anything like that. It was a split-second decision, and in my opinion, seemed like a wrong call. It absolutely sucks that the leftoids are riling people up to attack ICE agents, obstruct justice, obstruct the law, attack them, assault them, carry weapons where you threaten them with weapons, and then be like, oh my god, I can't believe the ICE agent made a mistake in a split-second opportunity. So, in this instance, where there's clearly a fog of war, all right, I don't know if the ICE officer knew that the guy, who he knew for a fact was armed, was already disarmed a moment prior to the fact that it looked like he was reaching into his back pocket to potentially brandish his firearm. I have no idea what was going through the guy's head at the time. However, it doesn't seem like, as an observer over here, knowing everything that I know, that it was a self-defense, the way self-defense is properly supposed to be utilized. But the actual absolute fact is that this motherfucker would not be dead if he didn't decide to resist arrest, if he didn't decide to show up here to stop ICE agents from doing their job to arrest a pedophile, if you didn't have governors and mayors all getting these people riled up to fight against legal law enforcement, if these ICE agents weren't constantly threatened, constantly attacked, constantly tried to get killed. There are multiple attempted murders against ICE agents. So while I'm not a fan that this dude pulled the trigger at that point, and I'm very upfront, I am super pro-ICE. I think every single illegal in the country needs to get deported, even though I think that ICE agents are human beings that definitely make mistakes. This is a tragedy of the making of the leftoids, and there is zero doubt in my mind that if the left wouldn't be doing this bullshit about fighting ICE agents, that this dude wouldn't have been killed this day. So yeah, anyway, in conclusion, another suicide by cop ruled by Nuxanor. Your chances of surviving increases dramatically if you don't try to stop law enforcement while armed and appear to be pulling a weapon out at an ICE officer. It increases your chance of living by an astronomical amount. That said, I do think there needs to be an investigation into this ICE officer if he actually acted appropriately. Quite frankly, he did seem a bit too trigger happy. Time to see what all the leftists that support Luigi Mangione and support the assassination of Charlie Kirk have to say about this. But first, this dude seemed to do a pretty good analysis, so I wanted to see that.
I watched multiple angles of this incident. This ICE agent goes up, he disarms the person they're detaining. The rest don't see that. The rest don't know that this man's been disarmed. When he then reaches for a gun, there's nothing there. The others don't know that, and they actually shoot him. Just a few seconds after he was disarmed. But your man walked away and I don't think he said anything.
Yeah, that's what we don't know. Ultimately, that's the fog of war, and I really don't know what to tell you. I don't know what was in the mind of the officer that actually shot the guy. It's definitely not as clear-cut as, the fat lesbian that committed suicide by cop. So in this instance of suicide by cop, this retard thought he should go armed and obstruct the Gestapo, as he calls them, and he thought nothing would happen to him. Sorry, bro. These lefty jihadis are actually diabolical. So, of course, this is the left's response. Leave the immigrant child rapist alone! Fighting, this is the gun of the guy that was killed. It committed suicide by cop. At 9:05 a.m. CT, this is the Homeland Security. As DHS law enforcement officers were conducting a targeted operation in Minneapolis against an illegal alien wanted for violent assault, an individual approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. See here. The officers attempted to disarm the suspect, but the armed suspect violently resisted. More details on the armed struggle are forthcoming. Fearing for his life and the lives of the fellow officers, an agent fired defensive shots. Medic on the scene immediately delivered medical aid to the subject, who was pronounced dead at the scene. The suspect also had 2 magazines and no ID. Interesting. This looks like a situation where an individual wanted to do maximum damage and massacre law enforcement. About 200 rioters appeared at the scene, began to obstruct and assault law enforcement on the scene. Classic, domestic terrorist shit. Crowd control measures were deployed for the safety of the public and law enforcement. This situation is evolving, more information forthcoming. And I will be completely honest with you, I don't think this is a completely accurate summary of events. It is true that this guy had a gun. It is true that this guy had multiple mags. It is true that this guy was obviously a militant leftist. He was violent. He attacked ICE officers. He obstructed the law. All's true, all facts. I don't personally think this guy went out there with the intention of mass killing ICE officers. I just personally doubt it, but we will never know. Hey, liberal, here's why I shot you. You're not allowed to pull out a gun on me. I know, it's a controversial take, but anyway. So, Donald Trump posted a tweet himself. This is the gunman's gun loaded with 2 additional full magazines and ready to go. What is this all about? Good question. Where are the local police? Good question. Why weren't they allowed to protect ICE officers? Good question. The mayor and the governor called them off? Interesting. Call the Insurrection Act already. God damn, this is so much more of an insurrection than January 6th, bro. It is stated that many of these police officers are not allowed to do their jobs, that ICE had to protect themselves. Yeah, what's that all about? Not an easy thing to do. Why does Ilhan Omar have $34 million in her account? Where are the tens of billions of dollars that have been stolen from the once great state of Minnesota? We are there because of massive monetary fraud with billions of dollars missing, illegal criminals allowed to infiltrate the state through the Democrats' open border policy. We want the money back. He's cooking. And we want it back now. Those fraudsters who stole the money are going to jail where they belong. There is no different than a really big bank robbery. Much of what you're witnessing is a cover-up for this theft and fraud. Interesting theory. The mayor and governor are inciting insurrection with their pompous, dangerous, and arrogant rhetoric, so call the Insurrection Act. Do it, bro! Call the Insurrection Act! Arrest these guys! You could capture Maduro in the middle of the night. You can't get Tim freaking fat-ass Walz, bro. Instead, these sanctimonious political fools should be looking for the billions of dollars that have been stolen from the people of Minnesota, the United States of America. Let our ICE patriots do their job. 12,000 illegal alien criminals, many of them violent, have been arrested and taken out of Minnesota. If they were still there, you would see something far worse than what you were witnessing today. Fact check, true. So while it is true that a liptard committed suicide by ICE, I don't know if ultimately it was valid self-defense, if it wasn't valid self-defense. I'm admitting that I don't know the reality. It definitely looks murky. And hey, if I could say that, then you can definitely subscribe, because this is a place where we do critical thinking and stuff. Yeah, I don't know if it was valid self-defense. I do know that this retard would not have been killed by this guy if he wouldn't decide to obstruct justice, if he wouldn't have tried to stop the law enforcement from doing their job, if he wouldn't have been violent, if he wouldn't have attacked ICE officers, if he wouldn't have struggled, if he wouldn't have resisted arrest, if he wouldn't have decided, I don't know, to take a gun to protest ICE. This isn't about the Second Amendment, bro. I support the Second Amendment. But that doesn't mean you should be able to pull out guns at ICE officers. I think that's pretty obvious, right? You get these retards posting TikToks all the time. We're going to go out, we're going to kill ICE officers. And then they show up to confront ICE officers holding a weapon. Like, you don't think that ICE is going to consider that a threat? And yes, I think a major reason why there is all this hullabaloo in Minnesota specifically is because they are covering up billions of dollars of fraud. Which is why I think that the moment they're going to start investigating California fraud, California is going to start rioting. They're going to start investigating Illinois fraud. Illinois is going to start rioting. And the absolute retard NPCs in the Democrat Party that are completely and utterly programmed by their retard overlords, they're just going to keep bumbling around, bumping into walls, fucking fumbling through life, trying to figure out how they should find meaning in different places. Well, actually, I don't think having children is fulfilling. Actually, I also don't believe in God. Also, I'm not married. Also, I like gay sex. Anyway, I'm going to run over an ICE agent with my car right now to fulfill my life. I have another video prepared proving that this is all a cover-up, because you might not be aware of this. Did you know that 10 times the amount of illegals were deported from Texas than from Minneapolis? So why do you think Minneapolis is all up in arms and not Texas? It's because it's a gigantic, fomented, in my opinion, insurrection against the government to cover up a couple of rich-ass politicians doing fraud. The wheels of justice turn slowly, but these motherfuckers will be in jail. You'll see, you'll see. I'm an optimist, but I'm also usually right. So anyway, moving on. JD Vance said when I visited Minnesota that what ICE agents wanted more than anything was to work with local law enforcement so that situations on the ground didn't get out of hand. The local leadership in Minnesota has so far refused to answer those requests. So here we have ICE agents being like, hey, our job is to deport illegals. Your job, local law enforcement, is to prevent local people from committing crimes. You know, crimes like, trying to murder ICE agents, as an example. So if you would focus on that, we would focus on our thing, and this would all be done. Instead, the local law enforcement has their hands tied by the retards in the government that are telling them, no, actually, you're not allowed to help ICE. You're supposed to fight against ICE, if anything. And big shock. You have militant retards on the streets committing suicide by cop. It's tragic this is happening. It's unbelievable. These people are so manipulated. Let's set the record straight. It appears an ICE agent disarmed the guy who was legally carrying. ICE agent yelled gun, gun, gun. He got up and raised his arm, and they fired until the threat was down. It appears like an accident. He probably didn't have his firearm when they shot him, but they didn't know that. I am an avid supporter of 2A, but when you troll, taunt, stalk federal agents, these accidents can happen. It's sad that he's dead. It's his fault for creating the situation, and the same applies to the good lady. Democrats want the media encouraging this behavior is solely because they want death and tragedy. I completely agree with this. Absolutely. I 100% think so. I think that they absolutely want the more innocent-ish people that are killed by ICE agents, the better for the left. And the crazy thing is, people are starting to notice it. Suicide by ICE is basically the Dem version of jihad, and it's so true. This is a clip of Hamas, all right? This is actual Hamas terrorist, all right? Loading a rocket that he's planning on firing into Israeli cities, and he literally puts a whole bunch of kids behind the rocket, so that when Israel inevitably retaliates and blows up the, place that's firing rockets into Israeli cities, it will have these children as casualties. And that is the goal. The goal is the child casualties to use their corpses as a twisted propaganda machine to fight against the people with actual power.
Report, okay? So can everyone see? Okay, great. Let's play it. What is he doing right now, by the way?
He's loading the rocket.
Okay, he's loading it. Okay, where are the children?
They're positioned in the weird way behind the rocket.
Yeah, weird, huh?
Okay, great. Now, if you were a combatant, and let's say these are your children, or your cousin's children, or your brother's children, would you make sure those kids run inside or run away before you do this?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, great. So why isn't he doing that?
Who knows?
Who knows? So he runs away, and where are the kids?
They're what, maybe 40, 50 feet away?
They're 10 feet away, bro.
Correct?
10 feet, dude. Chill out.
So why does he run away and the kids stay put? Typically, when kids see adults run, especially very rapidly and quick like that, they would also run. These kids are being told to stay stationary, dude.
Yeah, but for what purpose?
For human shield.
Human shield.
There it is. Suicide by ICE is just Democrat jihad, all right? And the sooner you notice exactly what's going on, the better it'll be. The leftoids do not give a shit. That's why they're importing so many violent people. They're literally importing an entire underclass of violent rapists, okay? All right? They show up in our country. They're raping people all over the place. Sorry if I'm getting a little graphic. I'm saving some nukes for an upcoming video. But just like as a, slight spoilers in case you were curious, dude. All right, this is a 20-year-old girl, Kayla Hamilton, an autistic woman in your state of Maryland, was strangled to death by an illegal alien. MS-13 gang member led into the country by Joe Biden. All right, and this just happened 2 days ago. All right, this is a guy who threw a rock into a school bus and shattered the skull of an 8-year-old girl. This happened last week. This is an illegal alien who was arrested yesterday for molesting a 7-year-old child in Georgia, an illegal alien. All right, this is an illegal alien who killed a teen girl after Charlotte Mayor Vi Lyles lets him walk free. This person was just arrested yesterday. So, just yesterday, I have all these examples that I could show you, but I don't see a single riot in a single street for any of these guys, because they quite literally do not care. And they're willing to utilize and sacrifice innocent lives for their gigantic propaganda machine of fucking controlling you. And that's exactly what this is all about, all right? Republicans are doing well all of a sudden with Trump taking Greenland, with all this stuff, and Trump looks like he's doing well, looks like he's gonna do better in the midterms, and all of a sudden, oh my god, all these All these innocent people are getting killed by ICE after attacking them with cars and guns and shit. Charlie Kirk will get assassinated, the largest conservative voice in the country, and they'll be like, it was just one retarded furry. It wasn't us. It wasn't our fault. It was just one single instance of it happening. Very sad, very sad. It was his own rhetoric that caused it, actually. It's his fault. And we'll celebrate his death, but it was also not our fault that we called him a Nazi. It was just that one guy. It was just that one dude. And then they will march their NPC army of suicidal retards into the streets. Anywho, let's take a look at how the news is reporting this.
So, heard this happen a little after 10:15 Eastern time, and I'll start with what we do know. This was a Border Patrol involved shooting. This was not ICE. Border Patrol shot somebody who DHS tells Fox News was armed with a gun. They have recovered that gun as well as 2 magazines. Now, I'm told the person was shot multiple times and that medics were working on them and that CPR was being performed. There is a video floating around online of the shooting where you can see this shooting happening. What we do not know right now is what led up to the shooting or what type of enforcement this was. Was this a targeted immigration enforcement? Did Border Patrol know who this person was? Was it somebody in the U.S. illegally that they were marking for arrest? Was this a protester? Was this an agitator? Was this a U.S. citizen? Those are the questions we don't know right now. Obviously, when something like this happens...
So anyway, now we do know. Now we know that it was a U.S. citizen. It was a guy with a legal license to concealed carry. And he concealed carried, and he pulled out a weapon by ICE officers, and they were like, holy shit, we should actually defend ourselves or something. I don't know. I don't know what went through their head. Again, this isn't me saying that everything is kosher in this situation, but this is me saying that this dude committed suicide by cop. All right, this dude decided to show up as a agitator, as a violent retard. You saw him getting into physical altercations with these people while he's resisting arrest, and it looked like he was reaching for a gun and they killed him. Again, very sad this happened. Unbelievable that these people are brainwashed by the retards to happen. He died doing what he loved, trying to prevent rapists and pedophiles from being arrested. What a guy, what a guy. He will be remembered forever as a retard that committed suicide by cop. Again, to be clear, this is not me celebrating his death. I am sad that he died. I wish that he wouldn't have died. To be frank, I wish that he wouldn't have been manipulated into thinking that fighting and wrestling with ICE officers, taking a weapon to wrestle with ICE officers, I wish that no one manipulated him into thinking that was a good thing to do. Charlie Kirk gets assassinated, the entire left erupts with cheers and glee. Alright, some retard commits suicide by cop on the left, and people on the right are just like, well, I really wish that didn't happen. I really wish these people weren't this retarded for it to happen. Rip Bozo, I guess. Died doing what he loved, defending pedophiles and rapists. Alex Preddy's parents, this is the guy that was killed, told him not to engage with federal officers while attesting protests in Minnesota. Wow, his parents were right. We had this discussion with him 2 weeks ago or so, so go ahead and protest, but do not engage. Do not do anything stupid, basically. Alex's father's Michael Preddy told CBS News, and he said he knows that, he knew that, he didn't know that. He fought the guy physically, and he died. Again, it's unbelievable that this keeps happening. It's honestly insane. So, everyone knew this was coming. That's the craziest part. Dude's parents told him it was going to happen. He said he knew that would happen. And then he did it anyway. He was so primed by the leftoid, retarded, regurgitated bullshit that he went to fight with law enforcement doing their duty. Of course, the Democrat Party immediately tweets, ICE agents shot and killed another person in Minneapolis. Get ICE out of Minnesota now. Again, these people are political tools to the left. Every single person that ICE kills is just another political weapon that they could use. I did not see these people crying for any of these people getting raped by illegal aliens. I didn't see these people crying for Irina Zarutska getting stabbed. I didn't see these people getting cried for Charlie Kirk, an innocent guy, a father, a husband getting murdered on stage in front of his family and tens of thousands of people. They only cry for the retard that dies while resisting arrest with a gun. Again, I'm not trying to be controversial here when I say they literally pick and choose the things to care about, and then they manipulate their army of retards to also care about that same thing as a political weapon. And it's so obvious. Stephen Miller is like absolutely diabolical. A would-be assassin tried to murder federal law enforcement, and the official Democratic account sided with the terrorists. So while I do think that this might be a case of domestic terrorism, just fighting and wrestling against law enforcement to stop them from doing their job, I do not think I would call this guy a would-be assassin. And the issue is, you have so many people on the right so tired and riled up, because you have these instances take place where no one wants this to happen, but it does happen because, inevitably, statistically, this is going to happen when enough people run at ICE officers with weapons. Some of them are going to get killed. But anyway, it's an actual nightmare situation. The victim died, according to Minneapolis police chief. 1. ICE must leave Minneapolis. 2. Congress should not fund this version of ICE. What the fuck does that even mean, this version of ICE? Thanks, Chris Murphy. What does that mean, this version of ICE? An assassin tried to murder federal agents. This is your response. Again, I think this is hyperbolizing it a little bit. Don't get me wrong. I do think this is slight hyperbole. But again, the point is taken. The point is taken. You care about the criminals, and you do not care about the innocents. It's unbelievable. So Governor Tim Walz, who's currently being investigated for $18 billion of fraud, had to say, I just spoke with the White House after another horrific shooting by federal agents this morning. Minnesota has had it. This is sickening. And again, this is happening because you are riling your people up to attack ICE officers. This is the most obvious thing in the universe. If you would tell your people, actually, we should help ICE officers deport all the illegal aliens, because Trump won the election with the mandate to deport all the illegals for the American people, and we're part of the United States, and therefore we have to follow the law. So, hey, guys, I think we shouldn't peaceful protest. I think we should help ICE locate and peacefully deport as many illegal aliens as possible, because we lost the election, because we're fucking retarded, we're stupid, and we hate our country. And people know that, so they voted for the other guy. I think that's what you should do, bro. That's your move. But instead, you're militiafying the retards. The president must end this operation. Pull the 1,000 violent untrained officers out of Minnesota now. So here we have this guy, once again, utilizing the death of some retard, quite literally, to push his political agenda. It doesn't even take him a heartbeat of time to do this. Oh no, a retard died in a terrible situation. Let's tear up the Constitution, I guess. Who cares about the last election? Who cares about any of that, bro? Let's keep calling them Nazis and Gestapo, telling people to keep protesting and fighting. Classic Timothy Walz. So this is what this dude said on the news, which is unbelievable.
Minnesotans are witnessing, and we're creating a log of evidence for the future prosecution of ICE agents and officials responsible for this.
Yeah, so, literally, what the fuck does this mean? Officials responsible for this? You mean they won an election to deport the illegals? That was literally the mandate, and now they're doing their job trying to deport the illegals, and you are fighting them? There is no, there's no debating with this entire situation. They're all retarded. What is, this is, unbelievably pathetic. It's insane. They only want power, but, it got worse. Way worse. Bro, she is not doing anything.
Well, I spoke twice this morning, shortly after I received the call of this shooting. I spoke with the President's Chief of Staff, and first request was to get her people out of there, to get these federal agents out of there. They were going to,
a guy committed suicide by cop, tear up the Constitution.
And second call is, with no uncertain terms, that we will investigate this. We will not be stonewalled. What we've already seen, and you saw it this morning, before any investigation is done, you have the most powerful people in the federal government spinning stories and putting up pictures, and unrelated people who we don't know anything about, and a picture of a firearm to try and...
It was his firearm. A picture of a firearm! Which was his.
I asked Americans, this will end when enough Americans say this will end. Do I have any confidence Donald Trump will do the right thing? No, I don't have a lot of confidence Donald Trump will do the right thing. I do have a lot of confidence that the majority of the American people will do the right thing. And I think there cannot be...
so this is all for votes.
This country looking right now, after all the reporting that's been done, after everything that's been said, under the pretense that they are here about immigration reform, and quit referring to these people as law enforcement. They are not law enforcement. We have law enforcement.
What?
Who do an incredible job.
What?
And to listen to Greg Bavino denigrate the work of our people who are out there cleaning up their mess. No.
Your people are quite literally not helping them against a mob that's lynching them in public. So this guy goes out and calls ICE not law enforcement. So imagine you are a retard. You're a retard with no spine and no morals and no ethics. You just graduated college. You have a degree in lesbian tap dancing. And now you hear your governor saying that ICE agents are unlawful and they are not law enforcement. They're not trying to enforce laws, which is a lie. There is a law called deport the fucking illegal alien that came into our country illegally. They invaded our country. They have to go. That's literally a law, and they are following the law. They are enforcing the law, which makes them law enforcement. So when this guy goes up, he calls them non-law enforcement. They're just kidnapping your neighbors. You're gonna get retards killing themselves to try to stop them. And we keep literally seeing this. So in my opinion, this kind of shit is what's getting these people killed. So much more than the person that actually pulls the trigger in a split-second decision where he doesn't know if his life is in danger or not. It's unbelievable. Oh my God, a guy committed suicide by cop, tear up the Constitution. And they're all doing this now because quite literally they are using these people as their human shields. Americans are being killed in the streets by our government. Well, dog, this dude, was not just some random guy. Why was he there? Why was he even there? The story didn't start when he was shot. Our Constitution is being shredded. Our rights are being dissolved. What are we even talking about? This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. This fear-mongering is ridiculous. Senate Dems should block ICE funding this week. Activate the National Guard. So anyway, directly wants some sort of insurrection. He wants the Democrats to pull the National Guard to fight against the ICE agents. If this isn't a call for civil war, I really don't know what is. Trump has the mandate of the American people to deport the illegals. I feel like I'm a broken clock repeating this, but the reality is everyone is muddying the waters so badly, you don't even know what's going on anymore. This is not a story about how some ruthless ICE officers murdered some random innocent guy. This is a story about how people invaded our country under the Biden administration. So the people voted for Donald Trump primarily to deport the people that invaded our country. And while they're doing that, the Democrats are insurrecting against the government, fighting tooth and nail against ICE officers doing their job, trying to make a mountain out of a molehill, defending every illegal alien rapist pedophile they possibly can. And here we are now, massive swaths of retards attacking ICE officers in the streets, trying to run them over with cars, brandishing firearms while they're being lawfully detained, attacking them with shovels. And you have an ICE officer that very likely made a mistake. And that's the story of today. The conclusion is tell people to stop attacking ICE officers and they wouldn't be dying. The conclusion here is saying, hey, maybe we should let ICE officers do their job. We'll even help them. Let them deport the illegals was mandated by the American people when Trump was elected president, and then no one will get hurt. But they don't care. They quite literally, frankly, don't care. And they're manipulating their mob of retards to commit suicide by cop to use them as human shields. Alex Jeffrey Preddy was an ICU nurse at VA hospital. Again, we're getting the whole memorial for a retard that committed suicide by cop. His life, through his profession, was dedicated to serving his community and our country. As so many have now seen on video, his final act before he was killed by federal agents was doing everything in his power to protect his community. As you can see, okay, as we've seen on video, his final act before he was killed by federal agents was assaulting a police officer, resisting arrest, obstructing justice, and taking a firearm with the potential intention of killing ICE officers. We all saw the video. We all know what happened, all right? His final act wasn't doing anything noble. His final act was being a complete and utter retard. Does that mean he should be dead? No, it's sad that he's dead. But let's not make believe his final act was anything other than being completely retarded. Alex and tens of thousands of Minnesotans boldly defended their neighbors. Dog! It is not their place to be defending their quote-unquote neighbors that invaded the country illegally. What are we doing? Against the murderous occupation of an American city by the federal government. Murderous occupation? First of all, this is slander. There's no evidence of any murders taking place. We don't know at this point. That's one. And two, murderous occupation? Dog, we deported 10 times this amount from Texas and there was no issue. There were no people killed. You know why? Because they stood with the ICE officers doing their job. I'm enraged and heartbroken for Alex, his family, Minneapolis, and America. Oh my God, America's falling. A retard died. It's unbelievable that we're doing this. None of this would have happened if you didn't allow 20 million undocumented illegals into the country the last 4 years. So this is the border. All right, people just rolling in. Kamala Harris, by the way, was the border czar under Biden, for those of you that are unaware. Or maybe not technically the border czar, but she was the one in charge of the border. Right, so here you got retards invading our country, nothing being done about it every single day, just tens of thousands to the point that it reached to millions. Some say between 20 and 30 million people invaded our country illegally, and now we have this massive cleanup job that we have to do to clean up your mess, and now instead of helping us clean up your mess, you're trying to make the mess worse by getting American citizens so agitated that they are committing suicide by cop to stop people from deporting people that should not be in this country at all. And it's unbelievable the levels of retarded shit we're seeing from the left, because this is literally their Christmas. They love when leftists die in order so they can push their cause. It's the best thing ever for these guys. Again, they don't care about girls getting raped by illegals. That they don't care about. They don't care about violent repeat offenders killing people in America. That doesn't bother them at all. But a guy getting killed because he was retarded, obstructing justice? Nah, criminals are the leftist superheroes. This appears to be an execution by an immigration enforcement. It's definitely not an execution. I am absolutely heartbroken, horrified, appalled by the federal agents murdered another member of this community. Ilan Omar, your father was a colonel in the genocide against Somalilanders in Somalia. You could quite literally shut up. It is beyond shameful these federal agents are targeting our residents instead of protecting them. They're not targeting these people. If you watch the actual video, it is obvious as all hell that this only happened because they were blocking ICE from arresting a violent sex offender, illegal alien. The Trump administration is trying to be, this isn't isolated or accidental. The Trump administration is trying to beat us into submission rather than protect us. No, Trump is trying to deport the illegals. You are trying to stop him from doing his job. Yeah, I think all these people should be in jail. Like, quite literally, all these people are part of this giant insurrection, and I'm so tired of making believe it's not. And Trump obviously doesn't want to start some big deal by calling the Insurrection Act, but I think he has to, bro. I think he has to. Look at what's even trending on Twitter right now, and it's unbelievable. Laken Riley is trending on Twitter. You might not know who she is. She is someone that was raped and murdered by an illegal alien that the Democrats refused to mention my name. So, yeah, anyway, this administration cannot continue violating the constitutional rights under the guise of immigration enforcement. They're not violating a single constitutional right. This is a lie. ICE and CBP must leave Minnesota immediately. No, a retard committed suicide by cop. Tear up the Constitution. Their presence is terrorizing our communities, violating rights, taking lives with zero accountability. Minnesota was once a place of refuge, should have never been, and Trump had turned it into a war zone. No, you turned it into a war zone. It is so tiring watching these retards not taking accountability for the shit that they do. Where unchecked federal forces murder our neighbors. Again, we don't know if it's murder, but this is absolutely insane shit. It really is. And just look at Governor J.B. Pritzker, right? He's the governor of Illinois. Listen to what fat retard's been saying.
Well, the American public has lost trust in ICE and CBP because of the constant lies. Greg Bovino, Tricia McLaughlin, Tom Homan, Kristi Noem, they come out and say things that we have now proven are false. They accuse people of things, as they did in Chicago, and try to take them to court and criminalize something that they did when it turns out they didn't do it. And indeed, none of those charges have stuck. They've all been dismissed across the board. So trust is lost, and it's why Trump's ICE has to go.
Trump's ICE.
We've got to figure out how what we're going to do to replace it with something responsible and with responsible people.
Yeah, let's replace Trump's ICE. Dog, Obama used the same ICE, and he deported way more people than Trump, and no one had any issues. There were no protests, there were no riots, there was no violence, there were no murders, there was none of this shit, quite literally because all of a sudden, when the Democrats do it, it's a good thing. And then the Democrats are like, wait, why are we deporting an underclass of society when we can instead import them to steal elections? And then everything changed. The messaging changed because the retard on top had his retarded opinions trickle down to the retards on the bottom, and that's essentially where we're at right now. So it's not Trump's ICE. It is the legal immigration enforcement, and it is absolute insanity that we need to play these games watching these people try to make believe this is something that it's not. These people quite literally are all lying constantly, and it's working on millions of Americans that are retarded, including people that, I mean, quite literally, I'm shocked that they got so absolutely kerfuffled by this. As I'm going to show you, Moist Critical describes this situation, and he's a big YouTuber, seems like a pretty smart guy sometimes, and he describes it in the most asinine way possible because literally none of these people are living in reality. I've said it before, and I will say it again. Wanting to deport every single illegal alien that invaded our country against our will and against our policies is a moderate position. Allowing infinite illegal aliens to invade our country illegally to rape our land, our women, and our healthcare social services systems is the extreme position. You're the radicals. I am the moderate. And I am not willing to let you gaslight me into thinking it's the other way around. Of course, Hasan Piker immediately blames the Jews. You can't even make this up. It's the United States of Israel. You get it, guys? Do you get it? Because apparently enforcing the laws is Israel. Get in there and make it about the Jews. There it is. I don't know, bro, how we're even dealing with these people. Now, Hasan Piker keeps going. 37-year-old Alex Preddy was a registered nurse that worked in the VA. He was killed trying to protect Minnesotans. He wasn't killed trying to protect anybody. Like, dude, we have to stop this gaslighting. He was killed because he was retarded, okay? Was the killing justified? I don't know if the killing was justified, but it happened because he was a retard. Bro wasn't trying to protect anybody, least of all Minnesotans, because the people that Trump's trying to deport are not Minnesotans. They are invaders. We are letting the worst Americans kill the best Americans. Again, this is so hilarious coming from Hasan Piker, constantly talking about this poor 37-year-old. Yeah, whole eulogy for this guy who committed suicide by ICE. Whole eulogy, unbelievable. My guy, you literally support Luigi Mangione, a guy who murdered an innocent man, maybe an asshole, true, in cold blood, allegedly. All right? You celebrated the murder of Charlie Kirk. You don't care about the murder of Ashley Babbitt. You don't care about any of these people getting killed at all, in fact. You supported October 7th rapes and murders. You support the literal Ayatollah regime mass murdering tens of thousands of protesters in Iran right now. You are literally pro-terror in every conceivable reality. And then, of course, he'll write this whole eulogy for a guy that literally died as a retard. He lived like a retard and he died like a retard. So, of course, Hasan Piker decides to save America one step at a time with his Russian communist hat and press vest and mask, obviously, because he's literally streaming it, because obviously he does all these things for clout. He doesn't actually care. He actually directly wants the destruction of the Western world, which is why he supports all the terrorists that hate us and want to kill us. And there he is, ladies and gentlemen. There he is on the ground. He joined the protest. What a guy. What a dude. So Nick Fuentes, ironically, the voice of reason on the Israel conversation. ICE has nothing to do with Israel. You can't call yourself America first if you think we could tolerate 30 million third world illegal aliens living in our country. There would be no violence if the illegals took their free plane ticket home and the leftists stopped harassing ICE. This is just completely true. There's no lies. And the irony is, and this is my favorite thing ever, so it's like, oh my God, it's Israel. It's Israel. And a lot of people on the right, like the retards on the right that are also saying that Israel is secretly ICE or something, are doing it too. No, this is my favorite thing ever. If you think Israel has nothing to do with ICE, you are sold out, period. He has got the call. Now he's being a good goy. Nick has sold out to Israel. This is the craziest timeline of all time. It's like, bro, I want to deport every illegal alien for the country. I can't believe you got bought by the Jews. It's over. I am telling you, there is not one controversy in all of America that someone hasn't blamed the Jews for. It's like, dog, I sort of feel bad for Nick Fuentes. I mean, like, I'll be real. I'll be upfront here. All right, this dude, he pushes some of the most insane Israel conspiracy theories ever, right? He thinks Israel killed JFK, even though Israel was barely a country when JFK was assassinated, which is like, obviously, there's no evidence that Israel killed JFK. But he believes it, all right? So you have this guy who, like, he's an intelligent guy, and he's going to go out there, and he's, like, super anti-Israel and stuff like that, and then, unfortunately, all the low IQ anti-Semites pop out, and this dude looks like a complete idiot just because he's, like, associating with these people. The sneakos of the world that think that abducting Maduro from Venezuela is secretly an Israeli operation, and that the reason why Trump wants Greenland is because of Israel. Sneeko has said this stuff. So it's like, you've got to feel bad for, like, the high IQ anti-Semites, bro, because the low IQ anti-Semites, they make them look completely retarded. Now, anyway, Moist Critical, that's a crazy segue. He also responded to this. Now, I want to make this clear. Moist Critical, I think, is a relatively reasonable guy, but Trump derangement syndrome broke this man's brain. He thinks that Epstein is Trump's fault, and therefore everything Trump does is bad. And it's unbelievable, because the Biden administration literally covered up Epstein for 4 years. It is the most bipartisan issue of all things. Everyone claims that things are bipartisan. This is the real bipartisan issue. The situation where you have both sides protecting pedophiles, which is insanity. So now, Moist Critical does this whole video talking about how this was a murder. It's so sad that this guy was killed, and he was just an innocent guy. And this is him describing the guy getting killed.
Like, all because he was fucking filming and trying to help other people around there, it seems.
Yeah, so this is ultimately his explanation. He does a full 18-minute video talking about how angry it is that this guy is dead. And, I mean, it's sad that the guy's dead. I said that too. But ultimately, his final conclusion is this is why it happened.
Beaten. Like, all because he was fucking filming and trying to help other people around there, it seems.
Quite literally, that is not true. I'm sorry, Mr. Moist. That is just a straight-up hocus-pocus lie. You read a fucking Kamala Harris tweet and you think you have an idea of the situation. That is absolutely, demonstrably untrue. The guy was killed because the ICE officer, maybe rightfully, maybe wrongfully, presumed that guy was a threat on his life. That's why he was killed. I don't know if he was or if he wasn't. He seemingly wasn't. I do think that the ICE officer did not act appropriately. This was my analysis the entire time too. But that's why he was killed. He was killed because the ICE officer thought his life was at risk, because you have ICE officers getting killed, getting shot at in the streets, getting rammed by cars, getting attacked by shovels. There was an ICE agent who just got his finger bitten off, which I'm going to be covering in my next video, because my next video is the overall Minnesota fraud situation and how they're using this as a cover-up. It's honestly a pretty big banger. I just felt like I needed to do this one separately on this situation, which got so big and blown out of proportion. So quite literally, no, he did not die because he was helping people. He died because he was retarded, trying to obstruct law enforcement, attacked ICE officers, resisted arrest, had a firearm, and seemingly rushed to try to pull it out, and was killed in what was either correctly or mistakenly self-defense. And quite literally, that is a fact. And it's unbelievable that we need to live in a reality where retards are trying to paint this as literally anything else.
That doesn't seem to be the case. They're now just using the fact that he had a gun as a justification to kill him. That should be extremely alarming to anyone who cares about 2A.
This quite literally has nothing to do with the Second Amendment. Literally nothing to do with the Second Amendment. ICE agents aren't rolling down the streets murdering people that have guns, all right? Once again, this dude was obstructing justice. He was stopping ICE from doing their job, trying to arrest a violent sex offender, all right? He tried to stop them. He assaulted them. He resisted arrest. He reached for a weapon. This is not just he had the right to carry and they killed him because he had the right to carry, and you have to be brain dead to think that that's the case. And it's unbelievable watching people just swallow the narrative whole. If Alex Petty would have been stabbed on a train by a black career criminal, no one would give a shit. And quite literally, this is, unfortunately, an absolute fact. Moist Critical, getting involved in drama content, didn't have anything to say about Irina Zarutska getting assassinated. I tried. I looked. You did not talk about that. All right, that was an instance of a career criminal that was arrested dozens of times for violent acts and constantly let out again and again and again and again. He murdered an innocent white lady on the train and said, I got that white girl after she bled out I'm like literally getting flashbacks thinking about it. Bled out on the floor and no one got up to try and help her. Okay? Quite literally, you had nothing to say about that, but you have something to say about this? What is actually happening? And to be clear, I like Moist Critical, but also to be clear, this channel, we call out all the retards. Whenever they're retarded, in different situations, if I think you're retarded, you're going to end up in a video. That's all.
My name is Kyle. I'm Antifa, and there's so much rage in me that I've had to record this like 15 times trying to get the message out. They fucked up, okay? Go watch my other videos. Doesn't matter if you're not here and you're not caught up. You missed the fucking fight. But if you are, it's time to suit up. Boots on the ground. Nicollet and fucking 26th. My house is 4 blocks away. Anywhere between Franklin and Nicollet and 26th and Nicollet. Show up. Ready to go. Okay? Not talking about peaceful protests anymore. We're not talking about having polite conversations anymore. I am talking specifically to my fucking followers. This is everything I have fucking talked about, and this is exactly what I said was gonna happen. This is exactly what I said was gonna fucking come.
Yeah, I can't believe it. All he did was attack an ICE officer trying to do his job with a weapon, and he fought back. Unbelievable. No more peaceful talk. Boots on the ground. Yeah, anyway, so the reality is, this is a terrorist, in my opinion. I really don't see any other way to interpret this. This is an Antifa guy, which was supposed to be considered and designated as a terrorist organization, and he's directly calling for his followers to go out and kill ICE agents. It's not enough. No more peaceful. Get armed. No more peaceful. Yeah, so ICE agents have to deal with this. So why wouldn't they presume that their life is in danger when a guy's resisting arrest with a gun? Like while they were literally doing a completely legal job, trying to deport illegals. Like why wouldn't they think their life is in danger when we're swarmed with these retards? It's unbelievable. All right, Michael Knoll says, there are few things in this country more easily achieved than not getting shot by cops. Honestly, completely and utterly true. All right, bro. So, I shot you dead on the street. Here's why. You aren't allowed to pull a gun on me. You know, step 1, do not hit them with a car. Step 2, do not attack them with a shovel. Step 3, do not pull out a gun with them. It's like literally, I have never had any of these issues. I never was in an instance when I was like, holy shit, a cop might kill me. You know, the crazy thing is, I never even had that thought cross my mind. You know why? Because if I get pulled over and they say driver's license and registration, I'll give them my fucking driver's license and registration. Not getting killed by cops is the easiest thing in the world, and anyone that does, quite literally, probably failed the Darwin test. I'm not trying to be rude here, but that guy's retarded. Destiny, large leftist streamer, has been going on an entire run. Checkmark is under review, so as you can see, his checkmark is still here, but it probably won't be here very soon. It is under review right now, and he probably will lose it because he's been threatening people's lives. Allegedly threatening people's lives. Minnesota rioter bites off finger of ICE agent. He tweets, "He who saves his country does not violate any law." He's being so cool. He's only quoting the president, guys. He's only quoting the president. Yeah, so he's basically telling people to bite off the fingers of ICE agents. This is the gunman's gun. It's loaded. He who violates the country, who saves the country, does not violate any law. This is him. He's just quoting the president, guys. What do you mean? He's not calling for. So this is him, in my opinion, calling for people to shoot ICE agents. I mean, quite literally, why would he do that? So Stephen Miller says a would-be assassin tried to murder federal law enforcement, and he says, "I hope somebody does it." This is referring to, in my opinion, murdering Stephen Miller, as he said multiple times. And he went on a whole tirade. He has like a dozen of those tweets. Imagine getting yourself killed to protect illegal child rapists from Honduras. There it is, baby. There it is. Every time. And this tweet is, this is the tweet of the day, by the way, for those of you that are unaware. These people do not process that this man woke up intentionally dressed like a militia movie character, intentionally armed himself, and intentionally went to a federal operation, and intentionally interfered with it, and intentionally resisted arrest, and intentionally pulled his gun. Leftists cannot comprehend agency, and therefore they believe, instead of that he literally spawned on the sidewalk through a series of fascist coincidences, he was executed for exercising his constitutional right to do whatever he wants without consequences. This is probably the tweet of the day. Quite literally, well put together tweet of the day. I had to show it to you. And every single person that talks about this conversation literally starts the conversation from there. Even Moist Critical, who does a whole video on this, he talks about it like ICE murdered a guy, and it's bad. And the guy wasn't threatening ICE, and he murdered a guy, and it's bad. Quite literally, not even exaggerating, the only explanation he could give for why this guy died was this.
Beaten. Like, all because he was fucking filming and trying to help other people around there, it seems.
All because he was filming and trying to help people is an obvious lie. Again, not defending the fact that he's dead, but it's his fault a lot. Not fully his fault. I still agree that the ICE agent probably made a mistake. A terrible mistake that should have consequences after an investigation. I've said this before. I'll say it again. I firmly believe that this is not as open and closed as the Renee Good case. I do not know what was going through his mind, so I'm not here to make a judgment call on the guy. There should be an investigation. But quite literally, they believe that this guy spawned right there on the sidewalk with a bullet already hurtling towards his head. It's so sad. I've been doing my best to preach the doctrine of FAFO. If you fuck around, you find out. But leftists, they only know about faux. They only know about finding out. They don't believe about the fucking around. Fucking around, that's not part of the equation according to these guys. It's only the finding out. Must absolutely suck to live in a reality like that where your consequences to your actions are irrelevant because the actions are irrelevant. This is like watching Reddit atheists arguing, if God is good, then why do bad things happen? God debunked. Atheism rocks. Checkmate, libtards. It is unreal watching these people actually running around thinking that's what happened. Valid reason for getting shot, according to the libs. Running for president? Yep, that's an appropriate reason to get shot, according to the libs. I've seen them celebrating when Trump got shot. Speaking of college campus, yep, I mean, to be fair, he was speaking at a college campus, and he was very effective, so obviously killing him would be a very effective way to, end the Trump regime. Trying to run over an officer? No, that's completely unacceptable because of First Amendment rights. She literally had freedom of speech when she tried to run over an officer. Pulling a gun on an officer, he was literally just filming and trying to help, all right? He was literally just filming on the sidewalk and trying to help. Unbelievable, bro. No, you shot me instead of letting me kill you. No, how could you do such a thing? All right, so here's a list of things we can no longer do in 2026 because of Orange Hitler and his Gestapo. Try to run over a cop and try to shoot a cop. These are things that we can no longer do in Trump's America. In Trump's America, we can't even run over cops anymore, dog. What is even happening? Immigration agents have shot 4 people in 2026 despite carrying out thousands of operations nationwide. One was armed with a handgun, one was armed with a shovel, 2 weaponized their vehicles. Not a single person has been shot for holding a sign and protesting. It's almost like this isn't fascism. It's almost like human beings are making split-second judgment calls, some of which are right, some of which are unfortunately wrong. And it's done because absolute retards are desperately trying to die as martyrs for their libtarded cause. Of course, the left does their absolute best to try to blame everybody. Not an exaggeration to say Nick Shirley shares responsibility for 2 execution-style murders. Quite literally, this might be the biggest exaggeration in the history of time. A kid with a camera exposing Somalis committing fraud in Minnesota is at fault for people trying to murder ICE agents and finding out? Like what are we even doing? So the same administration that venerates Kyle Rittenhouse, who showed up to a protest like this. It's like, yo, you're so right. See, I'm a leftist, and I see one very slight similarity between these two completely different cases, and therefore, I am going to call you a hypocrite. This is leftoid debate tactic 101. This guy had a gun and crossed state lines. This guy had a gun and crossed state lines. They both showed up at protests, so it's literally the same thing. Who cares if the reason why this guy had a gun was very likely to massacre ICE agents, and the reason why this guy had a gun was quite literally to protect himself as he demonstrated? Who cares if the difference is that Kyle Rittenhouse turned himself into the police and didn't arrest, which is why, he is alive? Because once again, to these absolute idiots, these absolute morons, reality is irrelevant. Reality doesn't actually matter. In the consequentialist void worldview of the leftoid retard, these are both two guys that had guns, therefore, same case. It's like actually unreal that we're living in a reality that we're sharing with these guys. So, of course, Minneapolis, once again, they're trying to make all theatric out of this. Because of this shooting, they're all boarding up the windows of their shops. Why? Literally, why? This is literally, they're just trying to enshittificate their city. There is no other explanation other than them literally trying to make their city shittier.
How you doing, Mikey? Good. I'm not a movie star. You are today.
Yep. That's the left. Like, there's some sort of mass panic of ICE agents breaking into Aldi's in the middle of the night. The leading conservative influencer in the country got shot in the neck in front of the entire country, and 0 businesses boarded up. This is absolute and insane clown world. It's like everyone knows the left is violent. Everyone knows that the leftist riots are unbelievably destructive. Everyone knows that the left is a borderline terrorist organization. And everyone's living in the delusional reality that it's like a both sides situation, which it quite literally is not. As far as I'm concerned, every single illegal alien in this country that's killing people is a leftist issue. Every single over-medicated trans mass shooter is a leftist issue. Every violent repeat offender released again and again and again by woke judges that ends up murdering someone is a leftist issue. There are no riots, there are no protests, there's no buildings being burnt down because of any of this. There's calls for change. There's people that came together to vote for Donald Trump to be the president, to deport the illegal aliens, solve one problem at a time, and the left cannot fucking deal with the fact that they lost the election. They hate democracy, they're quite literally fascists, and this guy, this retard that committed suicide by cop, they killed a fascist on that day. Ironically, that guy was more similar to a Nazi than any ICE agent I could think of. Again, not saying that justifies his murder. But this is quite literally a radical, violent socialist that does not believe in elections. So, to wrap things up, Donald Trump is sending the National Guard to Minneapolis. This is gonna get hairy. I say invoke the Insurrection Act. I think that every single one of these leftoid politicians that are making it sound even remotely valid to obstruct ICE officers should be charged with obstruction of justice themselves, leading an insurrection themselves, inciting violence themselves, or quite literally, at the very least, being removed from office. So yeah, I'm sure people are going to come away from this video saying that either Nux is pro this killing or anti this killing as an individual level. And quite literally, everyone's retarded. There's nuance to every situation. While I don't think it was appropriate for the ICE officer to kill this guy at that time, I am open to the fact that maybe it was happening because he made a split-second decision during the fog of war. He didn't know when his life was actually threatened. I do not know the reality of what was going on in his mind, but I do know that this was a suicide by cop, that this was a guy completely retarded that made multiple decisions, every single one of them illegal, that got him to this point where he died. Many, many stupid decisions that this retard made that ended up with this guy dead. And I also know that the left is thrilled whenever this happens. They will join hands and sing Kumbaya. Now, to be clear, I don't think that everyone on the left does this. All right, this isn't me blaming every single leftist. I do think the leftist politicians like Ilhan Omar, Tim Walz, AOC, I think that they are all for this idea of using these people as human shields. I think that so is Hasan Piker. I don't think Moist Critical's like that. For example, I just think that he saw this one instance and he literally could not comprehend the fact that the lead up to this instance is the fact that, the left lost an election. So there's so many shades of gray in every situation, and that's why you watch me. That's why you watch me. Long-form content where I overanalyze situations and make everyone unhappy. I quite literally don't care if you agree or disagree. You'll just get the truth, though. More of them will probably die, and it will probably be their own fault. Rip Bozo, the leftists will continue glazing the terrorists and the criminals because that's quite literally what they seem to be these days. Rip. He died doing what he loved the most, trying to prevent rapists and pedophiles from being arrested. He will be remembered in the annals of leftoid history, where, thank God he was killed by an ICE agent, because if he was killed by an illegal alien or, some disheveled repeat offender on a train, quite literally, they would not give a single fuck that you were killed. So it's a good thing you died like a retard, or else they literally would not care about you at all. I'm sad it happened. Hope your family finds some sort of peace. Honestly, a tragedy. Tragic that so many unbearably retarded life decisions led you to the point where you committed suicide by ICE. Anyway, that's why I keep saying that ICE agents need tranq dart sniper rifles. That's what I'm saying. They need to be lining the rooftops with sniper rifles with tranq darts and just foop. They enter the road. They're trying to stop ICE from doing their job. Foop, immediate, on the ground, incapacitated. They can't bother anybody. It'll be better for everyone. I want 1,000 ICE snipers on the top. Get all the protesters to wear Kaya's shock collars. That way we can put them down immediately without causing any form of long-term damage. It would be the best and the most humane. They obstruct justice. Shock. Shock the mob. I can't stop. Cryo Trump every 4 years. We're getting them all out. We're deporting all of them. Mr. President, call the Insurrection Act, goddammit.